Thank you for joining us. Welcome to LumioseStation.
What's up, LumioseStation, and welcome back to another episode of the Pokémon DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. In the last week's installment, or the installment of last week's words coming out my mouth. In last week's installment of the Pokémon DataDex, I asked you guys to vote between Milotic and Walrein for this week, and Milotic just came out on top. There were like 2 or 3 votes between them. A lot of the votes were actually very close, guys, so I was actually surprised, to be honest. So Milotic is being covered this week. However, we have to choose what Pokemon to cover next week. So we had a choice of water types this time. So next week, I thought, why not give a choice of some grass types? So you had the choice between Vileplume or Victreebel, 2 grass poison types from Generation 1. Obviously both starting with a V, so the similarities continue on and on and on. Both free stage as well. Both evolve via Leaf Stone. How similar are these guys? Well, if you want to find out, you'd have to vote for one of them, won't you guys? So tell me down below in the comment section whether you want me to see Vileplume or Victreebel covered in the next episode of the Pokemon DataDex. But for now, guys, we're going to be looking at Milotic this week, so let's just get straight onto it. So, Milotic is a pure water type and is the tender Pokemon. It's number 350 in the National Pokedex and does not appear in the Kalos Pokedexes at all. It's dimension-wise, it's not actually height here, it's length. It's 20 foot 4 inches long, or 6.2 meters long, and weighs 357.1 pounds, or 162 kilograms. Egg group wise and breeding wise, it's in the Water 1 and Dragon groups, so that's actually pretty decent for it. Gets some good egg moves through there. And gender-wise is a equal male-female split, 50-50, which you wouldn't really expect looking at Milotic. It looks like more of a feminine Pokemon, but it is a 50-50 split. Evolution chain-wise, Milotic is very similar to Gyarados in that it evolves from a very, very weak Pokemon, which is Feebas, and it evolves from Feebas via either a Prism Scale or Beauty. Now, obviously it's Prism Scale in Generation 4, maybe not Generation 4, at least looking at Generation 6, it's Prism Scale. However, with Mega Green Sapphire coming out very soon, I've heard that they are actually sort of shifting the focus for evolving Feebas to Milotic back towards Maximum Beauty. So Prism Scale is going to be less, they're going to be a bit more scarce. So you might have to actually think about using the Beauty method in that game, or maybe if just trip it to X and Y and evolve it there. But who knows, guys? Just thought I'd let you know that. Basic stat-wise for Milotic, if we have a quick look here, you can see health points are 95, attack is 60, defense is 79, special attack is 100, special defense is 125, and speed is 81. So it has some decent stats there. A very high special defense stat, a decently high special attack stat, and then its health points, speed, and defense are all pretty good. Attack-wise, it's pretty low, but we're not going to be using its physical attack anyway, so that's not really too much of a concern for us. Being a pure water type, obviously the typing matchups are very, very basic for Milotic. It resists fire, water, ice and steel, and is weak to grass and electric, taking neutral from all the other types. So you can see it's actually got a pretty decent typing being pure water. Obviously it resists some decent moves there, and it does take a lot of neutral damage, but at least it's not weak to loads of things. There's only 2 weaknesses there. Electric is a reasonably common move, but grass isn't quite as common, so that's actually quite helpful, guys. So, it's got in my opinion, it's got a half decent typing there. Ability-wise, for Milotic has got 3 available to it, 2 basic and a hidden ability. First one being Marvel Scare, which boosts the defense stat if the Pokemon has a status condition, so if it gets paralyzed or if it gets burnt, the defense of Milotic goes up, so that's pretty helpful because especially its special defense is already pretty high, so it's decent there, so if you get your defense boosted too, that's even better. Competitive is the other ability for it, which boosts its special attack if any stat is lowered, so very similar to Defiant is the sort of the physical attack equivalent to that. So I mean, it's a half decent ability, but Milotic isn't really used offensively too much, so it's all right. But Marvel Scale, at least in most cases, is going to be your better option there. Hidden ability wise, it actually gets Cute Charm, which means contact with the Pokemon may cause infatuation. So again, that's useful, but that's then you're sort of putting the hopes on the fact that they're a physical attacker and they're going to use moves that actually sort of have contact. So it's a bit of a every now and again it's going to work. It's not going to be a decent thing over and over again. Taking a quick look at the highlighted moves for Milotic, I've got 8 listed here. A level up one, loads of TMs, and then an egg move as well. The level up move is Recover, which it learns at level 21, Recover is going to be very helpful for your main set for Milotic, because the Milotic is mainly run defensively, so as we'll see in a minute, it's actually pretty decent. Then, TM-wise, the first TM it can learn that's actually quite helpful for it is TM-06 Toxic. Obviously, if you're running Recover, you're going to be quite a stally set, quite a sort of hanging around for a while, so Toxic is quite good to have there. If you Toxic your opponent, then you can last out with Recover, and if they've got no decent health sort of restoration, then they're eventually going to go down to that Toxic. Then we have TM-13, which is Ice Beam. It's a really good coverage move, because it just works generally well. It's obviously going to counter grass types, which are one of your weaknesses. And this has got some decent coverage as well. And obviously it's the chance to freeze too, but obviously don't rely on that, but it is good every now and again. Then we have TM-44 Rest, is a secondary option for Milotic's health restoration, so it's half decent, but I wouldn't really rely on it. Then we have TM-55 Scold, which is going to be your main attacking move. You could have Surf as well, or you could have Hydro Pump, but I prefer Scold, mainly because it actually, we know our defense is low in our special defense, so if we get a physical attack come out against us, we Scold and manage to get a burn off, that is going to be very helpful, because that is going to sort of render them pretty much useless against us, even though our defense that isn't amazingly high, or it's going to sort of balance out, I guess. Then TM-82 is Dragon Tail. This is very good because, as we see, we've got a stally sort of Pokemon here that likes to recover, likes to do that sort of stuff there. So you might get Pokemon come in and set up on you. So Dragon Tail is very helpful because it sends Pokemon back to their trainer. So you can use Dragon Tail to end possibly a sweep, not necessarily a sweep, but someone trying to set up on you. Then to go along with the rest we saw just now, we have TM-88 Sleep Talk, which uses a random move from the moveset. So Rest and Sleep Talk paired together are pretty good, because then you don't have to worry about actually being asleep for 3 turns, or however long you might be asleep for. So you rest up and you Sleep Talk, and if you've got, say, if I was going to use a Rest Talk setup, I would use Scold and Dragon Tail. So Scold, Dragon Tail, Rest, Sleep Talk, use Rest, then use Sleep Talk for 2 or 3 turns, so you get the chance to use your Scold or your Dragon Tail, and then both like doing decent sort of damage there. And then if the enemy Pokemon has managed to work your health points down low enough, when you wake up, the turn you wake up on, you can just rest again. So that's how you sort of play that there. The egg move we have here is Haze, which eliminates stat changes, which is again sort of an alternative to Dragon Tail there, because it's going to allow you to stop people setting up on you as well. So it's very similar in that case. We're only looking at one set for Milotic here, because it's a very basic set. It's the most common set for Milotic, so I've decided to only look at this single one here. But as I said, you could run Rest Talk possibly, so Rest, Sleep Talk, Scold, Dragon Tail. You could try and run an offensive Milotic with competitive, so Scold, Ice Beam, probably Dragon Tail as well, and then Recover as your last move there. Would be a similar moveset as well. But generally, yeah, Milotic's a fairly basic Pokemon just in this singular set. So let's go and look at that now, I guess. So, the moveset for the set is Scold, Recover, Ice Beam, and then Dragon Tail or Haze. Ability is Marvel Scale, Nature is a bold one, held item is Leftovers, and EVs were putting maximum defense, 248 in health points, and the rest in special defense. So, looking at the moveset first up, Scold is your main stab, as I said just now, chance to burn, so it's very good against physical attackers if you manage to get these sort of the chance off. Recover is your health restoration there, it's a very good move as well. It's really quite annoying to go against sometimes if they don't have anything super effective against you, or something that doesn't do more than, say, half damage, then you're going to have a fun time against them. Then we have Ice Beam, which is coverage. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it's really good coverage. It's generally good coverage there. And then finally, Dragon Tail or Haze. This is up to you which one you run. I would prefer Dragon Tail just to get some extra damage off, but Dragon Tail I think has a chance to miss, so Haze might actually be the better choice there. Plus, I mean, go back to Dragon Tail, it obviously sends them out of battle, whereas Haze just gets rid of their stat changes. So if it is a very threatening Pokemon, say, I don't know, some electric type, like, say it's a Electivire, because, Electivire's cool. Dragon Tail would then, if you're fast them at least, Dragon Tail would then send them out of battle and they would lose their turn. Whereas if you used Haze, obviously it would get rid of their stat changes, but then they'd be able to attack you still and still get some decent damage off. So Dragon Tail I would prefer, but obviously you could use Haze for the higher accuracy. Ability is Marvel Scale here, because if you get a status condition, that's going to boost your defense up, because it's a physically defensive set. Nature is Bold, which is going to boost up your physical defense and lower your physical attack. As I said, we don't care about physical attack here particularly. Even though we have the Dragon Tail, that's not meant for damage, that's just meant to get them out, so we're not too bothered about our health, our reduction in physical attack there. Held items Leftovers, because obviously That's going to be very nice. You can get some health points back. It's a secondary health restoration method as alongside recover. And obviously it's just going to be generally, it's going to work away at each turn. So even if they're doing minimal damage to you and you can actually restore a decent amount of that with leftovers, then you have to use recover sort of less often. EV's maximum defense, because we're building physically defensive here with the maximum defense, but bold nature, which is going to raise your defense, and obviously marvel scale as well. If you get a stats condition, it's going to boost your defense too, and obviously then if you manage to get a burn on the physical attacker, you're going to be set. You're going to be pretty darn set. So maximum defense there. 248 in health points, just to give you the bulk there, covering special defense too. Why have we not got 252 in health points, or maximum health points? Because that, if you give the rest, which is going to be 8, I think, as it is. No, 8, 12. It'll be 12 in special defense. That's going to give you just a few more stat points than if you had 252 health points, which is going to allow you to take hits as well. So, really, how would you use this set? You would go into battle. You would, probably use Scold or Ice Beam. Try and get the burn off if it's a physical attacker. Obviously, if Ice Beam is the better one because of typing, you use that. If they just seem like they're going to set up on you or something, go for the Dragon Tail. Use the Dragon Tail there, sort of predict the setting up and then get that thing out of there. And obviously then use your cover when you can. And you really should be set, guys. It's dependent on what Pokemon they have on their team as well. If they've got a really big threat like a Zapdos or something like an Electivire, as I said, then you could be in trouble there, but obviously eliminate those threats first with your other team members before you send in this Milotic to deal with them and sort of wipe the rest of the floor. But yeah, that's pretty much how to use Milotic. As I said, I'm only looking at one set today, just because it's a really basic set, it's a really basic Pokemon, to be honest. I don't see Milotic used much else for apart from this set here, physically defensive. You could build specially defensive and have maximum special defense. You could have a calm nature, which is going to boost your special defense, lower your physical attack, and then have the sort of the same moveset. And again, if you could have, rather than Miles Go, you could have competitive there, or you could have even try out Cute Charm. Who knows, guys? You could really experiment with other sets, but basically that's the basic set for Milotic. Then that's the one that's going to work generally. So if you want to experiment, you can experiment with special defense and anything like that. But really, generally, that's it. So yeah. So guys, that's going to be it for this week's episode of the Pokemon DataDex. If you enjoyed it, be sure to smash the like button down below, and also comment down below with who you want to vote for. Either Vileplume or Victreebel, the one that gets most votes, will be covered in the next week's episode of the Pokemon DataDex. This has been episode number 46. As I said, I think I mentioned previously, watch out for episode 50 of DataDex. That is going to be one hell of an episode. But I hope you enjoyed, and hope you enjoyed watching everything, so I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.